big data company Palantir Technologies has recently announced results, but November has not been the best of months. We've seen the stock slide back to its worst levels in about 6 months. So is this actually a buying opportunity down here, or are times set to get tougher? Thought we'd do an update on Palantir. They had earnings recently, and they were pretty much in line with expectations, but the stock is still under pressure. Perhaps opinion is split on them investing about 400 million in SPACs this year. I'll talk a bit about that when we take a look at the recent news around Palantir. We'll look at the levels to watch out for. Then we'll come back onto this chart and see, actually, is it a buying opportunity down here? Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we'd do an update on Palantir Technologies. We've recently had earnings for the company. It's not been a good month in terms of the stock price, so I thought let's do an update, take a look at things in a bit more detail, cover the recent news, then jump onto the platform and take a look at the technicals and the chart as well. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel. It means we can continue to push out lots of different videos throughout the week on the various stocks that we cover month in, month out, and it really does help support the channel. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Palantir Technologies in a bit more detail. So what does the company do? It's a US software company specializing in big data analytics. Now, clearly these sort of applications has got a wide spread of industries it can be applied to. So, for example, when it comes to sectors or areas that Palantir services, counterterrorism, fraud investigation, financial services, healthcare. So it's got a large customer base for its applications. It only came to the market just over a year ago, came to the market in September of 2020. It's been a volatile year so far. It was caught up a bit in the whole meme stock thing, if you remember that, from the beginning of the year. So it traded as high as $45 in January of 2021, and it's been as low as $17 in May, and it's nearer, I think, to $17 than $45 at the moment. It's made lots of investments along the way. It's poured something like $400 million into special purpose acquisition companies, these so-called SPACs that you've probably heard a lot about if you follow the US stock market this year. And I think there's maybe a disagreement between investors as to how effective and maybe how wise this is. On the one hand, investing in all of these SPACs is diversifying, I suppose, the exposure of an investor to Palantir, because there's all these other companies invested underneath Palantir. So you could take the view it makes it a more diversified investment. On the other hand, there has been some sort of downbeat analyst comments saying that the revenues it's seen so far, or it expects to get from these other investments, really isn't sustainable, and perhaps it's spread these investments a bit too thin. So I think the jury is still out on this. There's still something, I think, of a tug of war between investors when it comes to Palantir. So the latest earnings from November, they came in line with expectations. So earnings per share was as expected. Revenue was slightly higher, but we've still seen a disappointing performance from the stock. So I wonder, well, actually, is this a buying opportunity? It's not been the most eventful of sort of last 3 to 4 months for Palantir. We've been something in a sideways range, but it is now near the bottom of that range. So I thought, let's take a look at the levels to watch. Then we'll jump on the platform and take a look at the charts. So for me, on the upside, there's quite a few resistance levels from where we are now. It has traded as high as $28 in November, earlier on in November. A more recent high is $23.50. On the downside, $20 has been the low so far for November, and that has been an important low. I think after that, if it breaks that, we'd be looking at May lows back around 17. But as usual, to put some color on these numbers, let's take a look on the charts. So I said that Palantir had only come to the market in September of 2020. And you can see back here, end of September, started trading, and back then it was trading around $9 to $11 on that first day of trade. With that great run up in January of this year, part of the whole meme stock craze. I think that was one reason for it. But over the last 6 months or so, the trading has been much more subdued. We've seen a low from May of around $17. It has traded as high as around $29 in September of this year. And here we are now trading at $21. If we take a look at the RSI down here, now, not surprisingly, given the size of the fall that we've seen in November, it hit a high of $28 and here we are now down around 21. So it's dropped by more than 20% from those November highs. The RSI is oversold. It's suggesting that perhaps the move in Palantir has gone too far and it's due something of a bounce. If we look back at some of the more recent RSI signals, they have done a pretty good job in calling the turning point within a few days or so. So perhaps that is something worth paying attention to down here, because we do have overall pretty much this sideways range for much of since March, I suppose, of this year. We have seen the stock trading in a somewhat sideways range. There isn't really a trend for Palantir at the moment. So from a range trading opportunity, I think some traders, shorter-term investors, could well see it as something of an opportunity down here. It has held, if we take a look on the chart here, that low in July of this year was down around $20.48. It has taken that out in the last couple of days, trading as low as 20, but perhaps some will see 20 as a line in the sand. So from a short-term trade, perhaps we see the stock push back up towards $27.50, that sort of area, the highs for the month so far. But overall, it's still range bound. There's no real trend to identify, and we need to see a breakout. I think we need to see a breakout either up above this sort of 28 to 29.5, 30 zone to suggest the trend is underway. For now, it looks like very much to play the sideways range. Look to buy into weakness, I think, from a technical analysis point of view, sell into strength. So something of a fairly dull stock, you could say. Over the last 6 months, we've got the volatility, we've got big swings, but no real direction for the trend. That's it for this update in Palantir. We'll see if it can bounce again off this bottom of the range. We'll come back, we'll do an update. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.